For years, I've always wanted a brass pen, well, specifically a brass fountain pen. I have seen so many people loving their Kaweco brass sport and also some other popular ones like the Travelers Company brass pen that they make. However, I wasn't sure if something like that would be worth my investment. So I have put it off, but a wonderful pen friend of mine, you know who you are, so thank you. You messaged me on Instagram saying that since I love the Hongdian so much, specifically, I've really been enjoying the N12 and the C1. You have pointed out this that I'm about to share with you, the M2. Because I have shown my Kaweco in a few videos here and there. And here it is. For the price point, how could I resist? It was only $20. I think if you go on AliExpress, you can find them for less, maybe half. And I'm just showing you what it comes with in this box. My first impressions. I am not a professional, fountain pen reviewer, or I would say enthusiast. I am enthusiastic about these, but there are far better and more analytical details that I will link down below by other reviewers that you might enjoy. These are just going to be my first impressions, how it looks in my hand, and me inking it up. Now, first impressions, I will say I love this pen, okay? Before I turn on the camera, I already opened it up a little bit and got a feel for it, and I knew, okay, let me share this with you guys, especially if you are like me and you may have been eyeballing the Kaweco Brass Sport. They have it currently retailing for, I think it's like $100 on their website. So for me, $100 to see if I am going to like something of this size and of this material, it's a little bit of an investment. And the way that my brain works, if something is very, very pricey, I am a little bit more careful and delicate with it, and I'm not going to use it to its fullest abilities. My Travelers Company notebook. A lot of you may have found me years ago when I was, all about my passport size Travelers notebook setups and like just Travelers Company in general. Before I was into fountain pens, okay, I come from like ballpoint and gel pens. I saw a lot of people raving about the brass fountain pen, but I wasn't into fountain pens at that time. This was like over 8 years ago. But I picked up the ballpoint. I personally, I do not recommend it for the price point. And you know me, I love my ballpoint pens, okay? I love my Bics. I love my Zebra Sarasas. This was a major letdown. I spent so much money on this. And the nib is it's a basic nib. It's a basic ballpoint nib. And I wrote with this maybe like 3 times. It's not a smooth writing experience for me personally, but that was a very hard lesson. And I just realized, you know what? Maybe, and because I had such a, not bad experience, but since I had a so-so experience, I just assumed that the Travelers Company brass fountain pen was going to be the same. I thought it was going to be a so-so experience. And I have then invested in other things. For the retail price of that Travelers Company, I opted for the TWSBI, which I'm very happy and satisfied with, and it has such an elevated look for my personal preference. But anyway, moving on to the M12. I'm just giving you kind of like a background story of how I got here and why I decided to, finally take the plunge on a brass pocket pen, because it's affordable for me. And it's, wow, I'm impressed. I am very, very impressed. I'm going to weigh this and see what the difference is between my Kaweco and this, but let me ink it up first before I keep saying I'm impressed. This is what it looks like. These are the details. I got this in the fine nib, and I think they call this their glossy brass. I really like how it already has the clip on here. Oh, and the clip, if it has like, oh, it's nice. Kind of like a springy feel to it. So you can definitely use it, and it's easy. As you can see, it's easy to clip in your t-shirt or on the side of your pocket, or even on top of, in front of your notebook. Now, this is something that I would not be afraid to travel with and go out and about, because that was another reason why I imagined myself enjoying some type of like brass pen. I love the aesthetic of it. I think mainly because it kind of looks gold-ish, and you know, I'm very I lean towards like gold accent stuff, and I wanted to see, you know, like the wear on it. This would be like a travel pen for me. But again, I was afraid to take the plunge of spending, you know, $75 to $100, especially for a travel pen, a pen that I could potentially lose during my travels. I have this set up. I haven't used it in a while, but this is a Nolte, their Nolte like little pocket planner, if you're wondering, and it came with this plastic sleeve here. So that's one thing I also look for when it comes to travel pens or like EDC, you know, everyday carry pens. How easy is it for me to use with items that I normally carry with me, like a daily planner? I carry this with me, and it already has this clear cover. This is the Hobonichi Weeks. And that was another reason why I loved my Jinhao. Not loved, past tense, present. I still love my Jinhaos, but another reason why I love them so much is because, you know, they're very budget friendly, and I'm not intimidated to use them and put them, you know, alongside with my other EDC like notebooks or planners. So this fits here in the Hobonichi Weeks if you were curious or wondering. Let's weigh this before we ink it up. You can go on Amazon and look at the, you know, specific specs if you're interested. But I want to do a comparison of, the weight, especially between the Kavekos here. Because even though I have the Kavekos, I don't really click with them for long form journaling. These are just like kind of short snippets. Okay, so in ounces, it's 1.34 ounces. And then this is the Kaveco Bungo Box collaboration, the L Sport. It's a beautiful like eggplant, dark black purple. Oh, I love this. But you know what? Because I invested in this pen, I spent over $100 on it. Guess what? I'm very careful. I'm very precious with it. And I'm afraid of getting it scratched because, you know, I don't think they have this on their website anymore. So guess what? I don't use it. I don't use it to its fullest ability because I spent so much on it. So it just stays at home. Although this is a perfect, you know, EDC out and about type of pen. All right. So we saw that it was lighter. And that's one thing too. Ever since I got into my Jinhaos, I really appreciate, or even like the Pilot. I really do like this like hefty metal material. It kind of puts a nice balanced weight in my hand. This is the Kaveco piston filler, and it comes, okay, see, this was nice because, again, I'm a sucker for gold accents, and I just loved this edition because it was black with the gold. Also, a little bit of an investment for me personally. So I do not take this out and about because I'm afraid of losing this. So with these budget-friendly options, it makes it easy for me to use them. And as you continue to use your fountain pens, you really get to know what you like and what you don't like, which I'll discuss later in this, towards the end of this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and ink this up. I save this part specifically for those that enjoy seeing me ink up fountain pens, especially if you are a newbie like myself, because you guys say it's helpful to see like how to, you know, ink these up. There aren't a lot of videos that will show you how to ink up the fountain pen as they are doing their reviews. Most of the time they already have it inked up and they will tell you their impressions based off of that. So I get it, I understand. This is just fresh out of the box. And I'm using the Hongdian black ink. So same brand. I really, really like this ink. I've been using it for the last couple of weeks. It works especially well with my Jinhao 10s. I know some of you have said that these are my current EDC pens, by the way, my everyday carry. Some of you have said that you are experiencing like a little slight skipping, or it will dry out even after a day. Consider switching out the ink that you're using, because that has happened with me with a few other brands. But ever since I switched it out to this Hongdian, I don't know, it just stays like, I guess, lubricated. All right, let's go ahead and see how this writes. We have the ink here. And what I do, okay, so it comes with the cartridge, which is also a bonus, but no ink. So you already have to have your ink bottle, or you can purchase the Hongdian, ink cartridges, but it doesn't come with ink. So it comes with this, so you can fill it up with your own ink. And here you can see you can twist it up and down. This is what you're going to use to draw in the ink for the pen. Now I'm going to snap this back. Okay, and did I mention this is a fine nib? Yeah, it's a fine nib. I just love this gold. Wow, I can't stop staring at it. Or brass, I should say, but it looks like gold. All you have to do, just go ahead and you're going to dip the nib in the bottle. I make sure that the nib is pretty much covered. So I know you can't see it. And even though the twisting part is up, I just push it down while it's in the bottle, so that way the air is pushed out. I find while I do it this way, then I don't have to keep drawing it like in and out. And then now we're going to go ahead and twist it clockwise. I think, yeah. And you can see I pretty much had that whole nib submerged in the ink. Make sure you have some type of napkin with you, by the way, or paper towel while you're doing this. So let me grab mine. Now the nice thing about this pocket size, pen, I have small hands. So I do find this, it's cute, it's comfortable, but I don't actually mind it posted. This actually feels like a full, complete pen. And I think that's what makes these pocket pens so appealing, because they look so small and cute, and like in the hand, it's very transportable. But ta-da, then it transforms. It's like a transformer. It transforms into a mightier, full functioning pen. All right, so let's go ahead and use my little scribble pad here, and then we will see. I like it. Ooh. Okay, so the thing is with these Hongdians and Jinhao fountain pens, they're pretty they're usually thicker than what they are listed as. So this is a fine nib, but in my experience, it writes very similar to, like, if you're used to gel and ballpoint, it writes like a 0.7. Yeah, this feels, especially with this ink, again, because ink matters. If you're using a drier ink, like a Sailor ink, this may write more like a 0.5, but this is not a fine, okay? Especially here to like our Western standards, like this is not a fine to me. This is more like medium. This is like a very fine medium. But I don't mind it. That's why I got the fine, because I knew it was going to be like this. So if you got an extra fine, it's probably going to write more like a fine. But if you wanted to write like an extra fine, then consider using maybe like a drier ink. All right, so Yep, I like it. It writes very smooth, very nice. And Kavecos. Okay, size comparison, it's identical. Yeah, it's pretty identical to the Kavecos. Comparing it to, oh, let's see. Yeah, this is the Travelers Company, but the ballpoint one. So you can see it's slightly bigger, or longer, I should say. Then another cute little pocket size pen I like are these Jinhaos. These Jinhao 82s. But if you're familiar with, is it the Sailor Slim Pro Gear? I think they are similar in size to that. And this is how this looks, the M2. So this is larger. Comparing it to a Jinhao, you can see it's smaller than the Jinhao 10s. Now, what I did notice though is that the feel and the weight of this M2, it feels very similar to my Jinhao 10s. So I'm just curious to know on the scale here. This is, okay, 1.23, and then again, this is 1.41. If you like a heftier pen, you may really enjoy this M2. Also, when it comes to the size, it is actually very comparable to the Jinhao minus this clicker part. Because when I write, okay, so this is how, let me put this up. This is how I would write with the pen. Okay, this is how it would sit on my hand. This is how I would grip it. Just my natural form. And then when I have the Jinhao, okay, I notice that where like it hits the top of my index finger, it's pretty similar. And the Jinhao, if we do it kind of like tip to tip right here, you could see that the size, it's actually, or I should say the height of it is the same, minus this clicker part. But you know, let's just pretend it didn't have the click and it was just kind of a standalone pen. It's actually the same height, which is why it felt so like comfortable and familiar in my hands, which I really, really like. Because this part doesn't add any weight. It doesn't feel like if I'm posting a pen, it's not gonna like, you know, topple over. But this, being that it posts, it feels very comfortable. You can do it with or without, but it definitely feels very, I like it. I like it posted. And I was trying to figure out why I never gravitated towards the Kaweco. I don't really care for the plastic ones. I've had their other bodies, like the regular sport, they call it. I've had that like years ago, but I never could connect with it. And I think it's because it felt too light. And yeah, again, as I'm experimenting with different brands, different makers, different price points, I'm realizing what I actually prefer in a fountain pen to encourage me to keep writing or to keep reaching for it. And I do enjoy some type of like heavier material. Yeah. So my other Kaweco, okay, these. I'll just use this, the Bungu box, the Little Witch edition. Now the barrel itself, it's actually, the barrels are the same. So I thought maybe this was slightly wider, but it's actually the same. However, I noticed it's actually the threading here. The threading is a little further like down. It's closer to the nib than the M2. So comparing it, you see how their threading is further up. So naturally, when I grip this pen, it's not actually in the way of where my hand naturally sits. So this is my natural awkward grip. I know I have a weird grip. So that's just how I normally grip the pen. And you can see where I comfortably grip it, the threading I mean, it does help that it's very smooth, but it's not really like in the way of where the majority of my finger would kind of put pressure to write. But if you compare it to the Kaweco, their threading, it's not bothersome, but I realize that's probably why I don't like to use this for long form journaling, because this threading, slightest thing could just kind of throw me off. Or if the texture is just right, then it can keep me in. So this threading, excuse my inky hands, I apologize, it's probably distracting, but the threading, because it's closer where I naturally grip, I know you probably can't tell because it's black. Do you see how it kind of cuts into where my pressure of the hand would sit to write? And again, because it's not pointy, like the threading, it doesn't hurt, but because it's there, it's noticeable. I'll say it's noticeable. And while let me show you an example. Speaking of, threading, that's why finding these budget friendly fountain pens are wonderful, because you get to experiment and see what you do and what you don't like, what you prefer, what you don't prefer. And I'm starting to realize what my do's and don'ts are. If a pen looks very, very beautiful, then there are key things that I know to look out for. And that thing, number one, is the threading. Okay. Or also the threading is key. The threading, which is, where the cap twists on the threads right here. But also number two, the step down. The step down is kind of, as the name suggests, like where the body of the pen like steps down. And you can see this is a Benu brand, but this, you guys, this was a pricey investment to realize that I do not like this feature. And this was in the beginning of my fountain pen journey. I love like the glitz and the glitter, and I liked how it was like small, like it was kind of like cute, and it looked like compact compared to, let me show you, like the Euphoria. This step down is smoother, but it's above where my hand would not touch. You can see my finger does not even touch that step down. But comparing it to this one, I think this is called, I forgot, Amber Glow. But where I grip it, okay, technically, yes, it doesn't hit it, but this step down is it has more of a ridge feel, and it digs in. I can definitely feel it, and it kind of pushes my finger up where it's awkward. Like if I try to write long form entries, this is in the way. It feels like it's kind of jabbing into my finger. So I learned the hard way, because at the time, let me show you. I have two of these, the Magenta Frost. And again, this was an expensive investment to realize I do not like this. I bought these at the same time, and this one has that same feature, this step down, that I do not like. Now, another thing that I always look for now, because again, I have experimented with different brands and models, I really like, and I learned this from the Hongdian N2. I did not even think this was a thing for me, but now it's a thing for me. I like barrels. If the fountain pen is like a twist closure, I want it to be like instant, okay? I don't want to have to keep turning it to close. Now, this isn't a travel pen, but what's nice about this M2 is that it only takes like one and a half twists to open it, and then you're like ready to go. Especially if you're using this on the go or for travels, you don't want to dilly-dally and like keep fuddling to like open it, right? That's what I realized with this Hongdian N2. I open it instant. I've never experienced a pen that opened so quickly like this, a twist cap. So just turn, go. It's like locked. It's like connected, it's locked in. Like, wow, that is so instant. So that's a feature now that I look for. Another feature that I really enjoy, again, thanks to budget-friendly options that I discovered, I actually don't mind like a snap closure. This snap closure is very, very nice. I know the Pilot Prera offers this, but you know what? That was another thing I realized. I quickly realized why I never inked this up. For those that have been following my fountain pen journey this year, I fell in love with the Pilot brand again through a holiday gift exchange. I was gifted this Kakuno and I love it, but notice the key design right here. The barrel, it's smooth, and the step down and the threading, it's up where I am not going to touch it. So I realized, oh, that's why I love it, because the Pilot Metropolitan, I don't have it anymore. I sold it, but that's why I never connected with that pen, was because that threading was digging where like the rubber is at to the body. It was digging into my finger. The Pilot Prera, yes, this is a very cute fountain pocket pen too. It's very, very cute. The posting, you gotta kind of shove it there, but you know, I like it. The weight is very, very light. So if you really like a light pen, you might enjoy this. It almost reminds me of a Kaweco, and maybe that's why I didn't ink it up, because I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of the Sport. But I realized, just to show you a size comparison, I realized that this part right here, why is all this ink coming through my hands, you guys? Hold on. Every time I do a video, every time I'm coming on here, I feel like, is there ink dripping? Okay. So after you're done inking your pen, make sure you wipe this part here, the rim, especially with how deep I dipped it in there. I think that's why. Okay, anyway. But for the Prera, if you look closely, you'll see the step down is not huge, but it definitely has a feel to it. Like, it's not sharp, but it's there. And where I grip it naturally, my finger, I can feel that. I can feel how it kind of like digs into my finger. So again, it's not as sharp as like the Benu pens, but it's there. And I think when I first unboxed it, like now looking back, I think subconsciously I picked up on that. I picked up on how it dug into, not dug like it hurt, but it's there. All right, so this video is already kind of long. I'll have timestamps. Oh, okay, this is an example of the, I kept this out. This is an example of the what's it called? The closure. This Benu. I think that this specific Benu is the only brand I've come across that does this, and I hope they fix it. But I was given this pen. And yeah, the nib writes well, but you guys, whoa, geez, did you see how long that took me to uncap that? It reminds me of that SpongeBob meme where it's like 2 hours later. It's like, wow, I fell asleep trying to open this pen. And this is definitely not something where you can just like snap and go, because you're like, okay, hold on. And you're like, still, geez, like look how long it took me to close that. So yeah, that is a very, very key and important factor when determining what is worth investing in. Because yeah, I would not have paid my own money knowing that it did that. So I think that is that. I am excited to use this M2 because now I can use it with my travel journals. Let me show you. This is I made this traveler's notebook, and I have this in let me try to fit it in the elastic pen. And now I don't have to worry about being careful or losing it. Oh my gosh, that looks so, so good. It's so light and compact. I can understand the appeal why people love like the pocket pens, but especially like the pocket brass pens, because not only is it very compact, convenient, portable, but the heft to it, it just, oh, I don't know. Like I love this pen. Like I can already tell I'm going to connect with this pen, and you're going to see it like on my top 10 favorite fountain pens that I currently own, which I need to redo. I've privated my last, fountain pen collection because it has obviously grown, and my favorites have definitely switched around. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have been eyeballing the Kaweco brass pen, or even the Traveler's Company, but you want to see if maybe this pocket size is even worth your investment, I would recommend giving the Hongdian M2 a try. I got this again on Amazon for like $20, and yeah, I'm gonna be using this pretty much all week. So thanks for tuning in. Bye.